So it looks like BioWare just came in with a huge list of patch notes for the next update, and we're also going to get it much earlier than previously expected. It's actually going to drop today, ladies and gentlemen, and yes, it has been posted over on Reddit if you want to go ahead and read the extensive list of all of the changes, but I'm also going to go over them right now. So the message starts with this: hey freelancers, below you will find update notes for all of the fixes and improvements that the team have been working on. The current plan is for the patch 1.03 to go out between 7 AM and 9 AM Central Time on March 9. Everyone here at BioWare is already hard at work on the next update to continue making Anthem better with each patch. We thank you all for the feedback, bug reports and support, and we of course have the fixes themselves, and I'm going to start with the high level fixes and changes. First we have the respawn restricted areas, which have been removed. Respawn timers are now based on the activity a player is in. Crit path, agent missions and other non-end game missions now have a respawn timer of 10 seconds. Strongholds, legendary contracts and other endgame missions now have a respawn timer of 30 seconds. The respawn timer free play remains unchanged. Then we have the loot changes, with the common and uncommon drops no longer appearing for players that are level 30. We also have improved stability for all platforms, and this includes fixes for a number of issues that were causing crashes or connection problems. And finally, the audio improvements, with they fixed the number of issues that could cause audio to drop out. But moving on to the general fixes and improvements, there's a huge list over here, so I'm only going to go over the more important ones. If you want to do an extended read, that you can go ahead and check out Reddit. It's the second thread in it, but I'm also going to post a link down below. But let's start with the first one. We have a fixed number of issues that were blocking players from accessing the Forge. Then all missions should now properly end when all conditions have been met. The inbox now properly displays information on PC. The inbox is found of course in the newsfeed. Fixed an issue that would cause players to be unable to interact with NPCs in Fort Tarsis. The vault is no longer accessible from the Forge. This change was made to improve performance. I had no clue this was causing a performance issue, so I'm curious to see when in game how it's going to be. Fixed an issue that would cause the game to hang when entering menus while on an expedition. Titans will no longer respawn on missions after they are defeated. Example, if players defeat 2 out of 3 Titans and then wipe out on the third, the first 2 will not reappear when players respawn during a mission. So there was like this sort of a abuse a little bit, where players would intentionally wipe out at certain areas and in certain missions with Titans to get better and better loot. So it seems that that has been addressed. Then we have server shutdown message should now appear less often. The ability to quick play into a stronghold has been added back to the game. Mouse button 4 is no longer bound to the back button for PC players. Crashes that occurred while selecting certain conversation options when interacting with an NPC have been fixed. Players should no longer get stuck at the end of the Tomb of General Tarsis mission. Players should now run into less issues during quick play missions, and of course additional improvements to quick play will be coming in future updates. Players should no longer get stuck behind fog walls on missions or in strongholds as often. Players should now receive credit for the Dear Big Giants challenge when they are downed and when the event is active. Improved audio when defeating creatures to provide better feedback. Changed wording for server shutdown messaging to better indicate that it's just the player server shutting down, not the entire game server. Players can now launch an expedition from anywhere within the launch bay and Fort Tarsis, and this has to be probably my most favorite feature among others in this new update. So much convenience and so much better than before. It should now be harder for players to get stun locked by certain enemy compositions, and this was especially worrying on GM2 and 3, where getting stun locked even for like 1 or 2 seconds would mean that you would get pretty much down from there on, as the damage was too big. So I hope this fixes that a bit, and if not, they should be doing something like diminishing returns on stun effect, like how it is in other MMORPGs. I think that would be a good solution if this doesn't work. The appearance of N7 vinyl on the Legion of Dawn armor has been improved, and this was actually my biggest gripe with the game. I just couldn't use the N7 vinyl on my Legion of Dawn armor because it would look just atrocious. It's as if it wasn't even like put in properly, and you couldn't even see many of the details on it. But let's move over to the strongholds, and we had fixed an issue that would cause players to get stuck at the entrance to the sewers in the Temple of Scar stronghold. Then we have some creature updates, beginning with the Titans. So they have made several balancing changes to all of the variations of the Titans. First, we have reduced overall damage mitigation from 100% to between 70% and 75% depending on the damage type. Increased the time that weak points are exposed. Fixed an issue that prevented effects from applying and thus preventing combos. Increased the damage that Titans take from weak point hits. Lesser Titans weak points have been changed to always be active, so that is pretty significant actually. It means that the lesser Titans will pretty much be downed in, well, just a couple of minutes at most, maybe even less than that. So with all of the weak points being exposed all the time, that is actually a massive nerf to them, or well, buffed our damage it seems. But we have then improved the collision on the ring and seeking projectile attacks. This should make them easier to dodge. A lot of people had problem with this, as still being affected by that fire damage and down from the sky, even though you would apparently completely dodge it, but there seems to have been some really annoying seeking with that projectile. So yeah, this should be fixing all of that. Moving on, we have decreased the damage done by the self-destruct ability. Frozen Scar Enforcers and Scrappers can no longer move or attack while frozen. The monitor's health has been greatly reduced in the Heart of Rage Stronghold, and this has to be the single biggest reason why I haven't ever done the Heart of Rage beyond, well, the first time I did it, to see how it is and then realize how bad it is to fight the monitor. But greatly reducing the HP of the monitor is something that everybody wanted, so now there's an incentive to do the Heart of Rage, and it's actually otherwise a very good, experience. It's really fun to do the Heart of Rage. Then we have some damage and item scale changes, and of course adjusted the damage scaling of secondary damage sources. These now scale with average item power. This will allow these damage sources to better scale in the Grandmaster difficulties, and this will increase the scaling of the following. We have the melee damage, the combo damage, ultimate, status effect, and item procs. For example, Ivinia's Thunder. So I mean, Ivinia's Thunder was already like feeling kind of powerful with that thunder effect. If it's going to be even better in the new patch, I mean, there's even more reasons to use them, and this applies to that explosive marksman rifle, I believe, as well. So it's really interesting to see how it is in the new patch. This kind of makes me want to use them even more because they're already super fun. But item power level scaling has changed to better reflect the actual power of the item based on its rarity. This is applied to all of the items retroactively, in case you were still scared that your Masterworks or legendaries would become useless after the new patch. Well, it's applied retroactively to all of the items. I already posted that in the comment section in the previous videos, but somehow players still didn't know this. Players will see the power of their items go up, maybe even leveling to legendary status, or at the very least greatly surpassing 500. Moving on to gameplay bug fixes, the ultimate ability bar will no longer appear full at the start of missions when it isn't actually full. This has to be probably the single biggest bait that I've seen in Anthem. I always got baited thinking that I had my ultimate ready just to get face slapped by all of the NPCs. So yeah, now that is going to be fixed. Weapon recoil will now stop once an exo is looking straight up, and there was a hilarious bug with this one. You could basically bend yourself backwards by using the recoil and just make something out of Exorcist movies appearing. Really funny, but I'm glad that that is fixed. Fix the number of animation issues that would occur when the Colossus was using its shield. It should no longer be possible for the Interceptor to become frozen while starting up their ultimate. Interceptor aura damage will now deal the correct type of damage based on the active aura. Players can no longer equip abilities from one javelin to another. The Colossus can now use gear faster after being attacked by a heavy hit from enemies. The Colossus can now shield charge through destructible objects such as explosive canisters or harvest nodes. And finally, of course, the Colossus now recovers much faster after crashing into walls. Moving on to item balance updates. Increase the base health of Wind Wall and Bulwark points to provide better scaling in higher difficulties. The duration of these have been reduced to 20 seconds, down from 60 seconds. I've talked about this, so I'm not gonna stay on it. Burst Mortar's damage has been increased to 300, up from 145, and its cooldown has been reduced to 6 seconds, down from 10 seconds. Its description has also been fixed. Flag Cannon's damage has been increased to 42, up from 30. Battle Cry's description has been updated to explain that it reduces the resistances of affected targets. And finally, Ray Strike damage has been increased to 250, up from 200, and will now apply elemental effect to target affected in the active aura. So, really awesome. There's a little note over here, description text Wraith Strike will be updated in 1.04. So I guess we're not getting that. That is actually very strange. Why are we not getting a little description in this patch? Well, it doesn't matter. Let's move on to item bug fixes. We have the wind wall should no longer block or interfere with other player abilities. Ranger Grenadier component will now correctly lower the cooldown of grenade abilities. Fix an issue where certain weapons were not firing where the crosshair were aimed. The Ice Blast ability from the Storm Javelin now has the primer icon correctly displayed. There's some inscription bug fixes as well. We also have some Masterwork item balance updates, and we have increased the base damage of the following Masterwork items. We have Realner's Blaze, Rolling Carnage, Cycle of Pain, The Last Stand. So yeah, all of these that you can see over here right now, we're feeling a little bit underpowered. They are sitting in my inventory, most of these, and I have never actually used them. Rolling Carnage was already pretty good. I didn't know it needed a buff, but hey, I'm glad to see it because it's really damn sweet. And we also have some Masterwork item bug fixes. We have Realner's Blaze will no longer roll with incorrect inscriptions. Ablative Shielding now provides the proper boost in shield and armor. Badge of Devastation will now generate more ultimate charges when triggered. It should no longer be possible to stack the effect from Gunslinger's Mark more than once, and I've also seen a screenshot on Reddit with the Gunslinger's Mark getting its buff back. So super excited about that one. It means I'm going to be playing my Storm much more often. In addition to the above updates, we wanted to let you know of some other known issues that the team is working on fixing, and of course we have this longer list over here of issues that I'm going to let you guys read. I'm not going to cover it in this video, but tell me what you think of this new update. Is it enough? To me it looks pretty damn big. It fixes a lot of the problems that we had, but of course we greatly need some content updates. So yeah, tell me your opinions down below. In the meantime, a thumbs up would be super appreciated. Also make sure to aim that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys later.